So to make the cream cheese frosting that goes inside of the pumpkin roll, you need 1 cup of confectioner's sugar or powdered sugar. And you're going to need 1 whole package of cream cheese. It can be any brand. We just prefer to use the Philadelphia brand. Struggling to open it. Give me 1 second. When we do our cream cheese and add in our eggs, we like to keep our ingredients at room temperature, so that way when you're mixing it, it's easier. We also have a stick of butter, but we only need 2 tablespoons. So that's about 2 lines on here. 2 tablespoons. This frosting can go well with many other recipes, not just pumpkin rolls. It can go good with red velvet cake as well, or even cupcakes. Now we're gonna whisk this all together. It may be hard at first, but you just need some patience with it, because it likes to clump inside of the whisk, but eventually it will fall out. This is where it helps to have your ingredients at room temperature, because if this was colder, it would be harder to whisk together. Having another spoon would also be very helpful to make it easier to whisk. This frosting should be pretty thick by the time you're ready for it. It'll be about a yellowish color, like a very light yellow. We're also gonna check our cake too. Like I said, it cooks very fast. Okay. It takes about 10 minutes to bake. To make this process quicker, you could also use a hand mixer. But personally, I don't mind the whisking. So now that our cream cheese is in the fridge, we're gonna get started on the rolling aspect of the pumpkin roll. So what you need a clean dishcloth. Okay, you're gonna lay it flat. Now we have a container of confectioner's sugar and a spoon. So this is where it might seem a little weird and it might get messy, but it's all right. So you're gonna add the confectioner's sugar to the cloth and kind of spread it out some. You're gonna eventually have to go in with your hands and spread it out more. This just helps the cake not stick to the rag, and it also gives you that dusty outside that everybody loves on their pumpkin roll. So far I've used about 3 tablespoons worth. And now I'm gonna get in there with my hands. So what I wanna do, I wanna break up all the clumps and I wanna get it really flat. And I wanna keep it pretty flat and layered throughout. I don't want clumps that are too high or too thick and versus the others. You want to make sure you cover enough of the rag that you know your cake is going to be. Clearly this rag is a lot larger than what our sheet pan is, but we're just going to cover a little extra just in case it was mismeasured or something. If your rag has lines, the cake will take on the shape of those lines on your rag, but that's all right because it actually looks pretty nice when you're done. Okay. Now we're gonna wash our hands and we're gonna check our cake. Okay. Okay, the cake looks almost ready, but what we're gonna do, we have toothpicks, and I like to poke the cake, and if it comes out clean, it means it's ready. If it comes out with a little bit of stuff on it, it means it's not. Okay, that spot seems all right. I think it's about ready. So we're gonna take it out of the oven. We're gonna clear a spot. Okay. Keep in mind that this pan is hot, and what you want to do, you want to kind of pull away some of the paper from the edges, because you're going to dump this cake onto your rag. Okay. So now we're going to use our pot holder so you don't burn yourself. And we're going to flip it onto the thing. You want to rotate your hands so that way you're able to just flip it. Okay? Ready? Get ready for the counter so we get in there. 1, 2. Our cameraman jumped a little. Okay, it is hot, so we can use the same spoon and kind of help to scoop this off. Since we lined our paper with parchment, it comes right out very easily, like that. Okay. Now that it's out of our metal pan, it is still very hot, but we're just going to pull on the paper until it comes loose. Okay. This is the part where you have to be patient because you don't want to rip your cake. Okay, beautiful. Now we are going to roll our cake and then we're going to refrigerate. Okay, so first start by folding in your kitchen towel, and then you're going to fold it back. You want it to be tight but not too tight because you don't want your cake to break or rip. That's why it's best to do it when it's hot, so that way it will hold a shape. Okay, you're going to kind of grab the sides like this. And that's it. It's going to go into the fridge for about 20 minutes or until it's cool. Now that our pumpkin roll is cool, you're going to unroll it from the rag. Be very careful because you still don't want it to break. Okay. Now you're going to put your frosting, your cream cheese frosting that we made earlier and cooled, you're going to add that to the cake. You want to be very gentle because you don't want the cake crumbs to get in the frosting. So that's why we have a butter knife and a spatula, a rubber spatula. Okay. So now we're going to carefully spread it. You want to get even, thin layers. Try to keep most of the frosting on the cake. Depending on how much frosting you like, you could add more, you could add less. We like a normal amount, not too sweet. And make sure you get every corner. It's almost like you're buttering bread. Just that simple. Now once your pumpkin roll is covered with the frosting, you want to make sure you roll it the same way you rolled it up the first time when you went to put it in the fridge to cool. first, let's get all the corners and the edges, because you don't want to have a dry spot with nothing. Some people may like to add nuts to theirs. They can add pecans, candied walnuts. We like to keep it nut-free because personally I have a nut allergy. So I like to do mine without. You could also add raisins, or you could even add sprinkles just to add color. Okay. I would call this pretty even now. You may have some blank spots, but that's all right because it will get rolled up with the other spots that do have frosting, so it's not completely terrible. Okay, now you're going to carefully roll it back, and you don't want your cake to overly bend. Keep in mind, when you did put it on this, it was hot, so now it's just going to be a little stiff to peel off, but it shouldn't be too hard. There we go. Okay, now that it's rolled up, I like to cut the ends off just so you can see that pretty swirl that's in there. And I also like to plate it. So we're gonna put it on here. You can get your favorite assortment of cookies. How did this get closed? And to serve it, you just put them around. And roll it back some, just so it stays balanced properly. Feel free to mix them up. So what we're doing now, we're shingling the cookies, meaning that you layer them. So it's like gradual. I'm just placing them randomly. There's not really any specific order to it, no rhyme or reason, just putting them on. So that way if you're serving guests, they can grab a cookie or they can just grab a slice. It's something very simple you can do. It doesn't take long to make. Just pile them high, pile them low, however you want. And that is it. Please don't forget to add me at Crafted by Kiki with a K on Instagram. Also follow the family page, Supreme Family Garden. Thank you.